Record on this computer. Okay, so now we're recording. So the last little workshop that I did was self-image. And self-image was huge because your own personal self-image and how you believe in yourself, or whether you do, and like your inner dialogue really affects your results, because it affects your action. It affects what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. So the first lesson that I took in this course was all about self-image and really creating a vision of that self-image that I want to have, and how I want to see myself, and then behaving in that way. Because we can actually change the way we behave. We can change our self-image. We weren't born to be doubting ourselves in everything that we do, right? So that's really, really the first step was your self-image. So now this next lesson in the course is about creating goals, and it's actually about creating it's turning your desires into your goals. And the first step there is really determining what are your overall desires, what is it that you do want, figuring that out, and then creating a goal to help you to reach that overall desire. So really interesting, because when I first started this, for me personally, sitting down and looking at it, okay, what is my goal? So my goal was to reach Director 3. And so I just kept saying Director 3, Director 3. And I could see the steps that it would take to get me there, and I could see exactly what I needed to do to get me there, and was confident it would happen. But it was playing small. It was looking at kind of just one step ahead, and there was no big overall goal. Like, I know, yeah, okay, I'd like to be elite, but that wasn't what was driving me. It was the Director 3 that was driving me. And
but why the Director 3 and not the elite? Why weren't you aiming higher? Just curious.
I just feel like I needed to go one step at a time.
Okay.
You know, like start small. And that's how I actually did my weight loss journey, was that I actually started small. I started at each 10-pound increment, and I never had a goal to lose 100 pounds, but I started at each 10-pound increment. And then as I started to lose 10 pounds, my belief in myself started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it was like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. But really, we should start from a bigger place first and let that drive us even faster and better. And that's what I'm kind of learning, especially when it comes to your professional goals. So what we think about the most is what we are going to manifest as results. So you're in charge of your own personal thoughts. You're in charge of your own personal desires and your goals and your activity. And some people will say, well, I'm a lazy person. Like, I've got no motivation, I'm lazy. Well, if we really look at that, at the core of that, that's you actually deciding that that's how you are, because you weren't born that way. Like, you developed that over time, and you're now choosing to stay in that place. So it's just about how we can get ourselves out of that place and move us into a place where you're not lazy or not unmotivated, to a place where you actually want to do things. But oftentimes, like, if you were to ask people on the street every day, if you were to go up to people and say, what are your goals? What are your goals? What are your goals? Most people don't really have a goal. They just are kind of living day to day. Maybe they think that one day they'd like a better house, or one day they'd like to travel here. But in terms of like overall goal that is driving them, especially one that's written down, not many people have that. And so when you're working really hard towards something, especially in this business, because with this business, you're doing it, usually a lot of people do it on top of something else, or they start it for a little bit of money or whatever else. But if it doesn't really inspire you and it doesn't drive you, and you don't have that burning desire for it, there's no inspiration there, and you're just going to kind of trail off, and you're going to say, oh, okay, whatever, and stop doing it. But those of us who do stick it out and keep going and push and push and push, they have a vision of something bigger and better that's actually driving them. So that's what I really want to get you guys to really see for yourself, is what is that big goal. So what I'm talking about here is not like our monthly goals. You know how we write down, okay, what are you shooting for this month? You know, not that. We're not talking about just a rank. We're not talking about just a certain number of sales or what you want to hit this month. I'm talking like vision, like overall big picture. What is your dream? If you could actually take away everything that is limiting you. So if you could take away any fears that you had, you were absolutely fearless. If you could take away anybody's judgments or the fear of other people's judgments, if you could take away thoughts that maybe you don't have the skills or you don't have the followers or you don't have all of that stuff, if you took all of that away and you cleared it all out and you could sit down and actually visualize what you would want for your future and for your family, that's where you want to go. That's where you want to take yourself, to a place of really, really fantasizing about what you want. So a goal that is really, really powerful and that will drive you is one that challenges you to do something and go to a place that you've never, ever been before and that you never, ever thought was possible for you. Like, that's where we want to go, because that's what's going to create different behaviors and is going to create different results. Way different results. This is crazy. Okay, so why do we want to have a goal? So a goal is something that you create because you want to be a person that wants to grow. You don't want to be going sideways. You want to grow. So change happens. Change is absolutely 100% inevitable. You will change over time. Your surroundings will change over time. But personal growth is a choice, and not everybody does that. So you're choosing personal growth. You're choosing to be better and to be the best version of you. So we talked about this on the last one, but I'm just going to refresh the different types of goals. So an A-type goal is you're doing something that you already know how to do. So that's like somebody saying, okay, my goal is to get a brand new car, and it's the same car that they already have. And okay, there's nothing, you've done it before, you want a new one, you'll get it. A B-type goal, now these are the goals that we set monthly. Like, our goals that we create every month are B-type goals. So when I say that my goal for September is Director 3 and P1, I'm literally saying, I know what I need to do to get there. I can see every single step that's going to take me to that goal. And it makes sense. It's totally doable. I have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to be able to get there. Like, I can see the path. It makes sense. I need to recruit this one person and make these sales, and it's done. So that is a B-type goal. So that type of goal also doesn't have significant amount of inspiration, because if you don't hit that goal, and you're going to lose focus and you're just going to stop. You're going to say, oh, well, I didn't hit it. But if you have a C-type goal, that big, big vision, if you don't get that A goal or you don't hit that B-type goal, you're going to say, well, I have a bigger purpose here, so it doesn't really matter whether I hit that or not, because I'm going for something way bigger and way better and more important than that little goal, right? So a C-type goal is your wants. It's your desires. Oftentimes, this is where people stop. People reject these C-type goals because they don't think they can do it. They don't think it's in the cards for them. So they reject it before giving it any serious thought. So you can fantasize about going to this amazing trip somewhere, and you think, oh God, that's going to be $20,000. I don't have that kind of money. I'll never have that kind of money. And you don't even think about it again. So what we want to do is we want to remove any of that fluff that is impacting your ability to truly fantasize, and you want to fantasize about what you really want. So that's what we're going to do. So I found this quote and I thought it was really, really cool, because it really spoke to the power of imagination, because we're the only species that actually is able to imagine, actually picture something in our minds that has never happened before. We can write stories. We can picture things. We have this creativity that's super, super powerful. So what Napoleon Hill said, and he's the guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich. So if you haven't read this, amazing. Imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world has ever known. And I thought that was really, really cool, because if people didn't use their imagination, we wouldn't have airplanes flying. We wouldn't have telephones. We wouldn't have cars on the road. We wouldn't have been up to the moon. Somebody had to imagine that as being possible in their mind and then go after it for it to actually happen. So that's where we want to imagine something bigger and better for ourselves than what we ever thought was possible. So this is where you have to decide that you're not going to let anybody steal your dreams. You're not going to let anybody, including yourself, get in the way of what you really want for yourself and what you think you can go after in your life, right? Like, you have to believe that you are worth more, that you're made for more, that you can do more. And then once you believe that, you really have to take yourself to a place where you can actually see it. So I'm not saying that you have to know how to do it, because that really has nothing to do with anything. You know, when somebody decided to go to the moon, they didn't say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be able to do this. They thought, there's got to be a way to get there. No matter what we do, we're going to figure this out and then we're going to get there. And so the goal has to come before the plan. And when you choose the goal and you live within the goal, the plan will reveal itself. It will come to you in ideas. It will come to you in thoughts. So this is what I'm going to have you guys do first, is just don't write anything down right now, but just get into a really, really relaxed state and really, really think about yourself in your best version. So the one that you thought about after we did the last session. So what kind of person are you in your best version? So are you a really, really good runner? Are you really, really calm and relaxed all the time? Do you have a fit body? Do you have beautiful hair? How do you behave? Are you kind? Are you changing people's lives? Are you working your business every day? Is your business growing and booming and all that kind of stuff? And really take yourself to that person where you're living in your true and best self. And then now we're going to write some stuff down. So I want you to get your pen and paper, and you're going to first start off with personally. So I want you to write down, so this is if all of your fears, your self-limiting beliefs, the how is gone, what would you truly want for yourself in your personal life? So just jot things down, like just brainstorm. Your writing doesn't have to be perfect, but so personally, what kind of person do you want to be? What kind of fitness level do you want to be in? What sort of material things do you have? Is there a certain car that you've always wanted that you haven't gotten? Is there a certain type of home that you'd like to have one day? Or is it a cottage in a certain place? Is there somewhere that you've always wanted to travel? Is there places that you've never been that you'd like to go to? Is there a certain way that you'd like to look? So is it a certain size of clothing, or is it a certain type of clothing from a certain place? Is there a certain type of physical goal that you have, like a fitness goal? Do you want to run a marathon one day? Do you want to do a half marathon? Do you want to do a triathlon? All those kinds of things. And then this is where you can think about yourself too as a mother. You know, what type of mother would you love to be? Like a calm, relaxed mother, you know, one that makes the healthiest lunches, because that's for me, like really, really wanting to be healthy. What kind of people do you want in your life? What kind of relationships do you want? Is there certain people that you would like to connect with and maybe you're not friends with, but you'd like to be friends with them? All that kind of stuff. And really picturing too, with your goal met and your vision met for the professional side, what sort of things would you be doing? So for me, the vision isn't about going to work every day and sitting in meetings. It's about working from home. It's about working while I travel. It's about having that freedom and the flexibility. So maybe that's one thing. So once you've written down kind of all those personal things, including the physical wants too, like including material things. It's okay to want material things. So is there a certain bag, like a Lululemon bag that you want, or Louis Vuitton, let's reach for the stars, like whatever it is that are personal things that you've always wanted that you've never gotten, write those down. The next thing we're going to go to is professional. So these are things in your business side. So what is your desire? Like huge, huge desire, and not just your next step. Like, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this because you want to be an elite 3 leader? Do you want to be on stage training? Do you want to inspire people? Do you want to motivate people? Do you want to help other people become elite? Do you want to see people on your team winning and successful and living their dream lives? Do you want to earn the escape trips? Do you want to be receiving gifts from Modere when you hit elite? Like all of those things, like, and really in detail about what it is that your desire is and where you're actually going within your business. Because the details of it are what's actually going to help you to create that goal. This is a huge, huge, huge one. If everything was gone that was getting in your way, would you want to make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $100,000 a month? What number that I said there really gets you excited, really gets you fired up, and really would change your life because you want to go to that place? If you're right now aiming for something like, so say you're making right now $2,500 a month and you want to make $5,000, why 5,000? Why can't it be 20,000? Like, we really want to think big here, and really think that anything is possible, because it absolutely 100% is possible. There are people making that kind of money right now that that you personally know. So if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. Just wanted to really, really like drive this home, that don't play small when it comes to your goals. Okay, so now we've written down all of these material things. Now so that is like your fantasy. You just created briefly what your fantasy is in just a few minutes. And what we want to do is we want to turn that fantasy into a goal. So how we do that first is we turn it into a theory. And when you make something a theory, you're actually giving it consideration. You're actually thinking about you in that place. You're actually thinking about, should I decide to go there? Should I go after it? So you're starting to use your reasoning mind. You're not just imagining anymore. You're actually going deeper, which is your subconscious mind, and you're starting to use that in determining that you're going to go there. So if you want to turn that theory into a goal, you have to ask 2 questions. I'm just going to share my screen and show you this little share screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, here. Okay, so this is where you take that fantasy and you're going to turn it into a theory, create a goal, and then it's going to become fact. So you have to ask yourself 2 questions. When you see that fantasy and when you put yourself there in that fantasy, in order to actually create a goal out of that and really, really go after it, you have to ask, am I able? And this isn't, do I have the skill set? Do I have the experience? Do I have the current team to get there? It's not about that at all. It's about you as a person. Are you able to get there? And the answer should be a resounding yes. There is no reason that anybody cannot get to those places. We have infinite potential. We have what it takes to make millions and millions of dollars. People are not born a millionaire. They're not born with the skills to become a millionaire and then they get there. We are all born the same way, and some people get there. And if those people are the people who say, I am able. I'm absolutely able to go there. It's the people that don't think they're able or aren't willing that never ever get there. And I thought this was really interesting because it actually doesn't take you any more energy to live. It doesn't take you any more energy to reach for your goals and go after your dreams than it does to live in poverty and to live in scarcity. It does not take any more energy. So we might as well just put our energy into going after growth and desires and fantasies and reaching our goals than staying in a place where we're not actually using our true potential. So am I able? Yes. Now this is the part that really, am I willing? This is what really takes people aside and really takes you to that place. Hey Mason, Daddy's gone to work, but Nanny and Grandpa are out here. Sorry guys. So this is what it's really asking here. Am I willing? Is, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to continue to believe in yourself? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get you to that place? Hi, honey. So I can show me. Okay, okay. Go tell Nanny and Grandpa. Okay, thank you, baby. So this is where, are you willing? So this, if you think about some really like famous people in the world who have done incredible things, this is where you can see that they were willing. So Ed Hillray is the first person to climb Mount Everest in the 50s. So he had a dream to stand on top of the world. And people told him he was crazy, that it would never be done, that he would die going up there. And he kept going back year after year after year and doing it because he had a vision and he was able, he knew he was able, and he was willing to keep going back. The Wright brothers, I never knew this. So the Wright brothers are the ones who built the first airplane. They were bicycle mechanics and they built the first airplane. And you know why they did that? Because they said, hey, we're able to do this and we're willing to put in the work and we're going to figure this out. And they did it. They had a vision. And Thomas Edison, you've heard this probably tons. When he told people he was going to make the light bulb, people thought he was nuts. He was ridiculed. And he kept doing it over and over and over again, 10,000 times, because he had a bigger vision. If he didn't have that bigger vision driving him, do you think he would have just kept going and going? No, none of them would. They all believed in themselves. They were all willing to put in the work, and then they went for it. So this is a really, really cool thing that I heard Bob Proctor say. Failing at something doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure when you stop. So when you stop working towards your goal, that's when you're a failure. The space shuttle, when it goes towards, when it goes up into the sky and it goes towards space, it literally fails its way there. So we just need to realize that the path is not going to be an easy one, but all we need to know is that we're willing to do it. And I know that if you're on here, you're willing to do that. So then when you have decided, yes, I'm able, yes, I'm willing, that's when you're actually turning this fantasy, this theory, you're actually turning it into a real goal. It's a goal. It's something that you're going to go after. And then that's when your thinking changes, your behavior changes, your actions change, and your results change. So can we see the connection there between everything? So we're raising our level of consciousness. We're actually starting to see ourselves within that fantasy. We know that we're able. We know that we're willing. And then this is really interesting because this is where I see this really, really working for me right now, is now that I am thinking in a different way, and I'm thinking as an Elite 3 leader, and I'm really thinking about having a certain amount of money per month and being the healthiest version of myself, and I'm coming from that place, I'm getting ideas coming to me that help me get there. I'm starting to get ideas I've never had before, like these creative thoughts. And so I have a notebook next to me that I'm always like, oh, this idea came to me, and I'm writing it down to do it later. So that's where, wherever your mind is where it's going to take you. So if you're in a mindset where I'm not able, I can't do this, this isn't going to work for me, your thoughts are creating your results. So then you're going to start thinking of ways, and you're going to start having thoughts that are just going to keep you there. And they're not going to take you to a place, they're negative thoughts. And you're just going to be saying, yep, see, that happened. That's another reason why I can't do this. So you have to really get yourself out of that place. You need to be really, really clear on where you're going, what your goal is, what your vision is, and really knowing, why is it that you want those goals? So you want to make a certain amount of money a month. Well, that's great to say you want to make $10,000 a month, but to really drive the desire and the goal home, you need to write down, why do you want that? What would you do with that money? What would that money do for you and your family? What sort of life would it give you? What sort of retirement would it give you? What would it do for your kids? You know, when you're retired or maybe when you're gone, like to have all this money to be able to give them, like really create a list of whys. Why do you want that? Why is it important to you? And then you have this fantasy in detail and there's no reason why you can't go after it. So then you get this burning desire. Has anybody had that feeling where, okay, I'm going after something and I want it so bad, and you feel this like burning within you, you feel this burning in your gut? That's your burning desire to have this. And I also call it like, you know, the feeling like on fire, or what that is that's your vibration changing, because you've actually gone from like fantasizing about something that you thought was just a dream, it would never actually happen, to really believing it's for you. And that's where you've shifted into this excitement and this like powerful place, because you're actually like considering this, like this could actually be possible for you. And then you feel that like vibration change. So what I really, really want for you guys to be able to do is to work on this on your own. So I'm going to give you some homework to do, because it's really something you have to do in a quiet space, alone by yourself, and take your time doing it. I'm going to give you the steps to take you from creating the fantasy to having a written goal. And the written goal is what you're going to repeat to yourself every single morning and every night before bed. It's the repetition that puts it in your subconscious mind. It's the auto-suggestion. And then it also keeps it top of mind. So you're then driven by this goal all day, and whatever you do is going to influence. It's going to be influenced by knowing that you have this goal. So the first thing that I want you to do is create 2 different lists of your wants. So you briefly just wrote down a few things. So that's going to be kind of your basis. But this time, you want to do it in the present tense. So you're going to create a list of your personal wants, and you're writing it like you already have it. So I am driving a white BMW convertible. Like, I am living in a dream home. I am confident in myself. Like, it could be anything like that. What do I have on my list? Gosh, I have so many things. Anyways, all of your personal wants in the present tense. So I am so happy and grateful that I am an Elite 3 leader, you know, like, so you're gonna write it down all in your present tense, and just reach out to me if like you're having a hard time doing that. But this is where it takes you to actually, that feeling of actually acquiring it when you write it in the present tense. So I want you to have a list of your personal wants in present tense, and then your professional wants in present tense. And there's going to be some overlap, especially with us in this business, because our personal growth affects our professional growth and vice versa. So there will be some overlap, but just have 2 separate lists and in the present tense. So I am so happy and grateful that I have this. I'm so happy and grateful that I am this. And just a really, really nice list. Once you've written out those lists, you're going to take one thing from each list that stands out to you. That is your number one thing. So sometimes if you have a really, really huge list, what you can do is you can prioritize, like pick like your top 3 things from each list. Then when you get to those 3, pick your top 1, or you can jump right out at you. So for me, the personal one that jumped out at me the most was a given, because my personal goal, my number one personal goal, is to be the healthiest version of myself, hands down. So for me, that was really easy to jump out. And then your professional goal, pick one thing that's going to drive you. So I would probably choose a dollar amount over a rank in the business, just because that creates more clarity. The rank actually could be a variety of incomes. So you could be on the low end of an income range to the high end. So the universe likes clarity. So I would probably choose a certain dollar amount that you'd like to make a month. Or maybe it's your team winning, like whatever it is, but one personal and one professional. Then you're going to write that into a goal. So I am so happy and grateful now that I am making $10,000 a month. I am so happy and grateful now that I am the healthiest version of myself. Or I am so happy and grateful now that I've lost 100 pounds. That's what I used to write before I lost my 100 pounds. So, and see what happened is I lost 100 pounds, but I didn't have another goal. I didn't have a bigger vision. So I've stopped right there and not going any further. So now it's not about losing 100 pounds. It's about being the healthiest, fittest version of myself and being able to do things that I've never done before, like run a half marathon maybe. No, I'm going to do it. So you're going to write out those 2 goals, and then you are going to read it every morning when you wake up first thing, and you're going to read it every night before you go to bed. You're going to read those 2 goals out to yourself out loud, because that is what is going to lead your activity for the day. It's what's going to lead your mind for the day. And then you're coming from a place, all your activities and everything you do is coming from a place of faith. It's coming from a place of true belief in yourself. And like you will be insanely impressed by the change in your results that you're going to start to see. So another thing that I'm going to share this little thing with the rest of the team, because I thought this was so incredibly cool, is at the end of the day. So I learned this from my coach. At the end of the day, before you go to sleep at night, after you've done like read out your goal, you've done any gratitude or your bedtime routine, is right before you go to bed, sit down and write 6 action steps of what you're going to do the next day to push your business forward or to move you closer to that goal. So not big things, like not crazy goals, like little itty bitty little action steps. So, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to walk 30 minutes. Tomorrow I'm going to do a boot camp. Tomorrow I'm going to cook this food, or tomorrow I'm going to do meal prep. Or for the professional side is tomorrow I'm going to reach out to this person that I've been procrastinating reaching out to because they're a scary ask. It's about doing a post on this. It's about, doing my story about this. Little action steps, 6 little action steps that you can do the next day. And then what that does is when you wake up the next day, you have clarity on exactly what you need to do that day to get you one step closer to reaching your goal. So I thought that was a really, really cool thing. And I've started doing that and it's awesome. Okay, that is all I have. I hope that is helpful. I don't even know how long this is. Let me go back to me. Stop sharing. There, now you can see me again. Just opening this up. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Actually, I'll leave it recording if anybody has questions. Any questions about that, like the tasks or anything? Just reach out to me if you need clarity on the goals or anything like that. But all I will say is go big. The bigger your vision, the bigger your burning desire, the bigger your self-belief. It's all interconnected. So don't play small by creating a tiny little goal. That's actually your self-limiting beliefs, and that's actually your self-image. Mosquitoes. Oh, look at this little one. Say hi, Reagan. Yeah. Oh yeah, Rachel, rewatch it when you get a chance, because there's like some action steps and stuff in there. But I love all this stuff. I hope you guys love it too. I can't wait to hear if you start seeing changes in your results. I know with Dina, like your team is like doing incredibly well, which is so fun. Hey, Kristen. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. Reach out to me anytime, and then the next lesson that I'm doing, not this week but next week, is closing the thinking doing gap, which is so cool. So when we actually think about doing something and then we stop ourselves, it's about really, really changing that gap. So
my mindset is huge. I mean, it's all mindset. And I mean, I appreciate the shout out from my team, but the truth is I started believing that I can do it. I started actually seeing that it's going to happen. And I've been doing this for months and months and months. It's not new, just to give everyone else some hope that every morning, so not only do I give gratitude for everything that I'm extremely grateful for in my life, but I actually tell myself who I'm going to attract to myself, what kind of team members I want on my team, who I'm looking for. And when I go onto Facebook, I don't just pick any friends. I don't just friend anybody. I'm actually pretty picky. I choose them carefully, and I start up conversations with them, and I decide if I want to pursue. And if I don't really like what I'm hearing, or just their vibe, or just the way they communicate with me, I get to decide if I want them on my team, if I want to continue. So I think being clear about who you are and what you want is really, really important. I mean, yes, you want people in your business, and yes, you want to grow, and yes, you want customers, but you want good people. You want to attract your tribe.
Yeah. And you know what that really reminds me of, Athena? You have an abundant mindset and not a scarcity mindset, because when we come from a scarcity mindset, we're willing to take anybody we can get on our team.
Yeah.
You're thinking, oh, well, there's only, this is the only person I'm talking to right now. I want them on my team. But what we really need to realize is that there is millions of people out there. And when you have an abundant mindset and you expect abundance, then that's where your mind completely changes. Like, you really don't want somebody who's going to join and then not do anything. Like, you want somebody who actually has the same beliefs as you and who can work with you as a team to attain the same goals. Hi, Kristen. Is that your doggy?
Which one's the doggy?
Oh, we don't see her doggy. We can't see her doggy, honey. Okay.